Hello there. Welcome to another episode of Soap Goes to the Oscars. This is number 148, and I'm recording on February 8th, 2026. The movie that I watched was Mildred Pierce, and I started the movie last night, the 7th, and I finished it today after a couple of attempts. So, once again, I fear I did not give this movie the attention it deserved, even when I was sitting down and watching it. But we'll get to that later. So, anyway, this one was available on HBO Max. So, again, no cost. So far this round, there's been no cost. I think we'll make it through without having to pay anything this time because the winner's on the Internet Archive and the snub movie is hopefully still on HBO. All right, so there's a lot of Wikipedia stuff here. I'm not going to go through even most of it, but I will start out with that. Mildred Pierce is a 1945 American melodrama film noir directed by Michael Curtiz, starring Joan Crawford, Jack Carson, Zachary Scott, also featuring Eve Arden, Anne Blythe, and Bruce Bennett. Based on the 1941 novel by James M. Cain, this was Crawford's first starring role for Warner Brothers after leaving MGM. She won the Academy Award for Best Actress for her performance. And in 1996, Mildred Pierce was selected for preservation in the United States Library of Congress National Film Registry. Screenplay by Ronald McDougall, spelled R-A-N-A-L-D. I don't know if it's Ranald or Ronald. Produced by Jerry Wald. Cinematography, Ernest Haller. Edited by David Weisbart. Music by Max Steiner. Distributed by Warner Brothers. Released September 28th, 1945 in New York and October 20th, 1945 in the US, with a runtime of 111 minutes. As I said, Crawford won for Best Actress. It was also nominated for Best Picture, Best Supporting Actress for both Eve Arden and Anne Blythe, Best Screenplay, Best Cinematography, Black and White. Comparison to the novel, although James M. Cain was often labeled a hard-boiled crime writer, his novel Mildred Pierce was mostly a psychological work with little violence. The adaptation, released 4 years later, was designed as a thriller, and a murder was introduced into the plot. Okay. Critical response. A review in the New York Times, probably Bosley Crowther, stated that although Crawford gave a sincere and generally effective characterization, the film lacks the driving force of stimulating drama. And it did not seem reasonable that a level-headed person like Mildred Pierce, who builds a fabulously successful chain of restaurants on practically nothing, be so completely dominated by a selfish and grasping daughter who spells trouble in capital letters. That sounds like Bosley. The 1981 film Mommy Dearest mentions the screen test Crawford, played by Faye Dunaway, must endure a rehearsal scene at her home for the film. A portrayal of her at home during the Academy Awards radio broadcast announcing the 1945 winners, and her acceptance speech outside her home for a team of reporters. Yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff about the production and things, but we'll leave it there. So just a little bit of this, like this, as I said, it differs from the book, I guess. In this one, it starts out with the murder of a man, and he's shot several times. And when he's dying, he just says the word Mildred. And then it cuts to her, I believe, Joan Crawford, Mildred Pierce, walking. Can't remember if she was leaving the house or just walking. She was like walking along a pier and a cop comes up to her. But then it kind of goes to, in the course of that night, she gets brought in by the police she tries to frame somebody for it, for the murder. And then the police decide that that's not the person and it's actually her ex-husband. And they bring her in to ask her questions. And through the course of that night, she tells in flashback the story of her life, basically, and how she came to this point. So as I said at the beginning, I probably did not give this the attention it deserved. I started it last evening. It was late and everybody was around. Family was around and was being distracting a bit. And I sort of had to keep stopping and starting. I probably watched about 20 minutes or so. And I was tired, decided I'd rather just finish this tomorrow. Started it today and still had to stop and start a couple of times. And also was just, being the way I am now, apparently, was on my phone a little bit. So That all said, I really like this movie and, paid enough attention that I really enjoyed it. So I gave it 4 stars, which helps to bring up the average for 1945 a little bit. I think we were at 2.8 last time. Now we're at 3.1. So that's a little better. Didn't change the overall for the 40s much, but yeah, this was Crawford was great. Story was great. Like it was an actual, like, a lot of times these thrillers haven't really worked for me in some cases, like Maltese Falcon I didn't really like, and that's like film noir. It's a little bit different, but detective stuff, but it was a similar sort of feel, and that one didn't really work for me. Although last time I think Double Indemnity was kind of, another one like this, and that one did work for me very well. So yeah, I just like this one a lot. She was good. The daughter I hated so much, but she was very good. So not surprised that she got nominated for supporting actress. Eve Arden played like a coworker, manager of Mildred Pierce's restaurants. They gave her first job as a waitress, and Eve Arden plays the principal in Grease. She was very good. She was sort of like a comic relief in this. She had a lot of quippy lines and was funny. She was very good. The male characters were fine. They weren't. I don't think they stood out quite as much. The guy that played her first husband, something Pierce, he was very good. Kind of a more subdued performance, but overall, just everybody was really good in it. And the only thing I'd kind of criticize is Max Steiner's music. It was a little bit over the top in places, a little too melodramatic. So, maybe not a perfect movie. Like I said, 4 stars, but I really enjoyed it, even only partially paying attention. So this is one I probably would watch again to try to give it another shot, just to, not in the course of this, but it's something that I would definitely revisit. So I'll keep it short and end it here. But one more left for this round, the winner, and then a snubbed movie, and then it'll be on to 1946. But 2 more movies to go. I'll see you next time.